Welcome to Around the Blockchain. We got a fantastic episode today. We are talking about the IRS agents. Are these 87,000 people coming for you and your crypto wallet? Also, Voyager potentially being saved. What does it mean for the people who haven't been able to withdraw since July? And also, big ETH upgrade. Is it going to copy the last time's price action? It's going to be interesting to see. Great episode. We got some great guests. He did say he wants to be in the red square every time, but Crypto Blood, you're in the blue square today. Thanks for showing up. Hey, and also he's a big fan of Nappy Roots, The Roots, Fergie.
Canadian Roots, baby.
Oh, okay, Canadian Roots. All right, then we also have brother from another salmon mother. We have Mine Your Biz, rocking the light orange salmon color with the beautiful background. We don't normally get to see it. It's normally hidden. But Seth, you got quite the pro setup there.
We do what we can.
All right. Doing a little bit more than that, it appears. Also, we have Alen, first time on. Love to have you on from BC Vault. Actually, one of the sponsors for today's episode. So BC Vault, definitely check that out. You can see the little sponsor thing right there on the screen. And also, we have Altcoin Daily holding it down. Altcoin Daily, always bringing those hot takes. You never know what he's going to say. He always likes to keep me on my toes, too. So it's going to be a good one. But let's talk about the IRS and the House seemingly trying to put a stop to the funding for these 87,000 agents. It looked like it did pass legislation in the House, but a lot of experts are basically predicting it won't even see the floor in the Senate, and the Biden White House said they will not sign any kind of bill that limits the funding for these agents. This passed party lines, close one, 221 to 210, and it was to boost funding by $80 billion over the coming decade. Altcoin Daily, I've heard arguments for, pro IRS saying this is one of the few government agencies where you put in $1, you actually get more than $1 back. So what is up with all the FUD regarding these IRS agents? Why is that a bad thing, trying to hire more people to keep the economy going when it comes with government infrastructure?
DZ, thanks for having me. Love being here. For me, whether they put all this money into IRS funding or not, to me, I couldn't give a crap. Now, I understand that it is the goal in some sense is to make sure the upper half pay their fair share. And for me, no matter what side of the spectrum you're on, I'm a tax person. I want to make sure my taxes are compliant, and I do think everybody should be held to whatever the legal standard is. To me, though, and call me crazy, if we're going to put all this money into something, I think in a lot of ways, I'm biased, but I will talk about cryptocurrency. Why don't we spend a little bit of money educating some of these government agencies on how to handle this new technology when we're living off the rules developed, 50, 60, 70 years ago. That's me, DZ.
Well, maybe every IRS agent should start watching Altcoin Daily. Hey, Biden White House, if you want to sponsor Altcoin Daily's channel, I'm sure they wouldn't mind an irs.gov sticker on the bottom.
We'll take sponsorship from Biden or from the Democrats or the Republicans, but you know what? My views aren't changing.
Hey, my views match Michael Jordan's, and he said, you know what? Republicans buy Jordans too, and that's how I kind of look at it. Now, Crypto Blood, what do you feel about the IRS? A lot of people say, it is a necessary evil, but then there's also a lot of people saying, what are you talking about? We must abolish it. Abolishing it should be priority number one. I imagine the truth somewhere is in the middle there. What is Crypto Blood's truth when it comes to the IRS?
I plead the fifth, man.
Okay. Not wanting to ruffle any feathers here.
No, seriously. Hey, man, I don't want to get political, but, I'm going to get political here. We got two sides, right? We only get two.
You hang out with Rice.
I hang out with the red people, the Republicans, baby. No, I think this is a good step. At the end of the day, it's posturing. Nothing's going to happen. Both sides do this. They try to appeal to their base, right? And so that's what the Republicans are doing right now. At least they're doing it in the right direction, in my opinion. But it's not going to go anywhere. It'll never make it, and it'll never pass. So yet again, another waste of taxpayers' dollars. That's my take on it.
All right. I think posturing is a great word for this. Now, mind your biz. There's a lot of the posturing seems to stem from the fact that there's really no chance this is going to pass in the Senate. Biden already said he's not going to sign it. It appears a lot of this was for theater. I want to ask you, if Republicans did control the Senate and the White House, do you think that Republicans in the House would have even pushed this bill that far, or is just grandstanding here?
Oh, DZ, are you calling their bluff? Because I think that's a pretty good bet, actually. That yeah, if it were flipped, if we had a slightly different power dynamic, then this wouldn't even be proposed. So you hit the nail on the head there. Thanks for having me back on the channel. By the way, it's been a little bit of time, and my first time on the new home for Around the Blockchain. I'm so excited, audience, that you're here. So if you haven't already shared while we're live, like, what are you doing with your life? Go share now. But yeah, I think it's all theater. Like, I mean, I don't know how many different ways we can say it, but it's all for show. It's all theater. That said, I'm going to take a different, bring some counterpoint to this conversation. Just say, I don't care who's controlling the House. I don't care who's in power right now. If you propose to decrease the IRS's power, I'm probably going to vote for you. You could possibly sway me to vote for your party if you take this seriously and bring this up as a real issue, because the IRS is in dire need of reform. So if you want to slash and burn a little bit before you reform, I'm all ears. You can get my vote any day.
All right, you get mind your business. Maybe switch sides, but you can't sway him into swinging. That's for sure. Now, Alen, I don't know how it is in Slovenia, but I want to ask you, with technology, blockchain technology, a lot of people, since Bitcoin's been invented, blockchain technology has been touted as, hey, this can, fix the entire tax system. Do you think that KYC wallets and blockchain technology, can that solve the entire tax system?
I don't think that KYC as per se is the solution for the blockchain wallets as solving the tax problems. And also from the European perspective, I can tell you that everything in relation to our IRS and what you have right now, it's really a big show for us. Because, for example, what we do in our country, we don't even have to deal with the documents because everything is pre-filled. We just click and say, yes, I agree. That's it. So when I come to US and I see you guys standing in long lines, having help to fill out all the IRS stuff, this is like 60s for us. I mean, all this drama is not happening. We don't have the division between 400,000 households and less than 400,000 households because, well, that's just huge amount of numbers for us. 80,000 agents. I mean, my whole country is 2 million people. So I would say that what previous guys said, I go along with that. 80,000 agents to just go and look to find somebody because obviously they are working against you instead of working for you. It's not the way to do it. And KYCing Bitcoin wallets or whatever crypto wallets, not gonna work because you can randomly type in 64 characters and here's your wallet. So who's gonna control that? It's not possible.
Okay. And if you want to know why we have such a bad system, I recommend Google tax software lobbying. Tax software lobbying. Check it out.
yeah.
Crypto Blood. Go ahead.
Yeah, DZ, just to be clear, like abolishing the IRS is different from abolishing taxes, right? So what the Republicans are trying to do here is just have a straight fair tax. I don't know if it's flat tax. I don't know if they're the same, but I'm for it, bro. I am for it. We already have too many agencies as it stands here in America. Let's eliminate the first one, IRS. That's cool.
All right. Well, you brought up tax. Altcoin Daily, you live in California, kind of known of all 50 states, some of the most onerous tax laws in the nation. Have you ever considered leaving the state only due to the tax laws, not the encampments on the sidewalk?
Yeah. The thing that makes me stay in California is because my taxes go towards Newsom's kids, putting them in a nice private school, giving them the best. And I wouldn't want to, you gotta think of other people. But that is a downside for sure. Living in California, you get that sunshine. So, it's quite the trade-off, but I hope to, we've already seen a mass exodus starting in 2020 from California. So I'm hoping that we're getting our ducks in a line, even though it's more of a marathon than a sprint.
Yeah, Gavin Newsom, interesting character, a feet wine merchant who doesn't like wearing masks in LA County when you're supposed to. Interesting character. Some say he might be the next nominee, so it'll be.
I'd love to get him on Around the Blockchain.
I
If
would
you could,
love to have him on Around the Blockchain, especially with this panel right here. I think it'd be a good one. In fact, maybe I'll
Oh,
let
I
one of
would
you guys
slice and
host it.
dice him. Don't bring him
he-
on around
Step
me.
down. I'll
he'd
step
be
down.
welcome. We treat him fairly, and then we'd all have a say.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so too.
Yeah.
All right, now Mind Your Biz. It seems like the funding for the IRS and the funding for a lot of government agencies is on autopilot. And we've seen the story. Hey, if we're given $10 and we only spend $9, well, next year they only give us $9. So you know what? We better spend every dollar. Will there ever be a stop to this autopilot funding that we seem to have with all of our agencies here?
Unfortunately, I don't think so. I think that when you create a certain incentive model, then people tend to rise to whatever the level of incompetence required is to be able to maintain that incentive model. And I think you just said that in other words, right? But I think that it's not going away. It's just way too easy to maintain budgets as they are, and especially when it comes to revenue generation organizations like the IRS. Because let's be clear, they're not just a revenue collection agency. They're not strictly speaking necessary for American life to continue. They are a profit center for government. I don't want to get too deep down the rabbit hole here, but your chat is saying things like the IRS imposes an unconstitutional or extra constitutional form of taxes on the American people. And I think they might have a case there in terms of the way that specifically income tax is implemented. I don't know. I'm not a professional there, but I do know there are other ways for us to impose taxes and represent what those taxes are for, so that it doesn't just come across as a revenue generation or profit center for the federal government. But to answer your original question, no, we're not going to change that anytime soon, for as long as people just think that they are required to pay for certain programs. They're just going to keep paying on autopilot.
All right. Well, Crypto Blood can the genie ever go back in the bottle? I mean, will the IRS ever be abolished, say even 20 years, 50 years, 10 presidents from now? Is it possible for, okay, what will that look like?
Yeah. Yeah. So, we're going into the age of CBDCs, right? And so with programmable money comes programmable taxes. It's just that simple. So on every transaction, you'll be taxed at some point. That's how I see the future. There'll be no need for the IRS. And I mean, we can have a debate and talk about taxes in general, but I do have to say that is a better way to do it versus having all this bureaucracy and all these people running around. And, some people get to play this way, some people get to play that way. If it's all the same, let's level the playing field here. So I think that's coming. IRS will be out of here in the next 10 years, 15 years.
All right. Might be time to start looking at Monero. Alen, last question on this topic. What does the other side of the fence look like? As Americans, it's hard for us to imagine, the grass is greener over there, but you're right. American is kind of, it's known for its onerous tax laws, how it's basically been, it's just turned into a profit-making center. What does it look like where you're from? I mean, is it easy? How is it easy? How easy is it?
I mean, you don't have to do so much work. So as I said already before, doing taxes means just assigning whatever they came up with, because everything is already pre-filled for you. The other thing is that you might have a lot of complications if you work abroad. For example, if I would work in US or whatever, I would still be taxed in my country. They would want to take the share. So everywhere is the same. They just, after the difference, they want to take something wherever you work. Luka Doncic. Luka Doncic is from my country. He's from Slovenia. And let me tell you that if he would still be a Slovenian tax person, taxed in Slovenia, I mean, he would be taxed 50% on everything he will make doing by his own work. So now why everybody runs from Slovenia if he's good in sports. And this is why you have Luka Doncic, and this is why you have Andrzej Kupita in NHL and so on, because they're running away from 50% tax in sports. So that's not cool. And you guys, you are not so bad as you think, because there are things where it can get even worse. So I don't want.
But I don't want to be a dead horse, but we get double, triple, and quadruple. You like that word, quadruple, taxed here. I mean, we get taxed from the IRS, federally, state, municipalities, sales tax, gas tax. So I mean, we have to pay tax or renew our tax. So we getting taxed more than what they say we're getting taxed. Just saying.
There's death by 1,000 paper cuts, and yeah, I mean 50%.
Yep.
Even Californians are aghast at that. All right, let's move on and talk about Voyager. But first, I want to today's episode again brought to you by bcvault.com. They got some pretty cool, unique security features. Alen, he's doing a pretty good job. So hey, if you don't know how to spell it, check out his shirt. All right, next topic. Let's talk about Voyager and Binance US. Huge $1 billion deal. Voyager Digital, of course, went bankrupt, but they received initial approval for a proposed $1 billion sale of its assets to Binance US. Banker Street judge in New York actually allowed this asset purchase, and they're saying they're responding to concerns raised by the U.S. Committee on Foreign Investment in the United States. They're wondering what is Binance's role in this entire deal, or Binance.us, I should say. And Voyager, they do say, I said, what about the customers? You haven't been able to withdraw since July. Voyager estimates you'll be able to recover 51% of your deposits there. So, Altcoin Daily, though, I want to ask you about Binance.us. Do you think that there's going to be any backlash or, any kind of issues that might happen from them acquiring these assets? Is there anything they should be worried about?
I think that, well, first off, one of the things I always liked about Voyager, not that, there's tons of innovation happening in Asia and Europe and all over the world, but I always liked that Voyager was one of those American companies spearheading through the regulatory sea a cryptocurrency product. Now, unfortunately, fortunately for that, with the buyout from Binance, the users will get some money back. But I think it's sort of we're entering into a world that already started with cryptocurrency, where these nation state lines aren't really that important anymore. It's more corporatized. These corporations are running things more than the government. So I think it is, I like to believe it's positive for Binance US. They are a regulated company in America. Of course, FTX US was compliant in America as well. And then they got drawn down by FTX. So I think this is positive for the users. And I hope that, I know they'll still have to I think it's positive for Binance too, because they have their arm in more compliant companies in America. They're spreading their wings. They're really the JP Morgan of crypto. We haven't heard that before.
Yeah, I've never heard that one. Alen, I want to ask you about the regulatory side of things here. Do you think that this is maybe just a play to jump ahead on some regulations? Maybe Voyager's further ahead with the regulatory approval from U.S. government. Do you see this as a way of, a $1 billion purchase of, we get some customers and maybe the SEC don't hate us as much now?
Very good point. I think two most important takeaways. First, people will get back their money. So I don't care who's buying. If users will get back their money, they almost lost in crypto, that's a good thing. And the second thing, whatever they say, you can read the news like crypto is a scam, we don't believe in crypto, central bank said that. And then suddenly they don't like that somebody can purchase something in crypto. That's a proof number one that they actually take everything very seriously. And going after regulation and everything else is already the game that we saw by the FTX going down, because obviously there was a lot of things going behind the curtain in regards to the regulation. But in the public side, they always claim, oh, no, this is not serious. This is some kind of scam. It's a pyramid scheme. It's a Ponzi scheme, whatever. But then on the other side, they're running around about the regulation. They want to take the money. They want to take the taxes. So come on, guys, decide. Is it serious? Is it not serious? But after all, if users are getting back their money, I'm all for it.
All right. Yeah, I think, let's talk about that now. Crypto Blood, it looks like they get about half of their money back. What do you say? Is this a good thing? Is this the best that they can expect? Should they be happy with this? Should they maybe be furious and try to do a class action lawsuit? Should they say, oh my God, I got 50 cents on the dollar. Look how many people got 0 cents on the dollar. How should they be reacting to the 51% possible allocation here?
I don't know, DZ. You give me a business proposition where I give you $100 and you give me 51 back. Should I be excited? I don't think so.
That's a good point.
But I will say, though, I was hoping that the U.S. did come around to allowing this, because in the instance of them not allowing Binance.us to buy, you would have seen a scenario where those individuals would have gotten less than 50 cent on the dollar, probably closer to 10 to 20% or 20 cent on the dollar at that point. So it would have been a definitely a different scenario. So if you look at it that way, glass half full, yeah, it's good that this went through, in my
All right.
opinion.
Now, Mine Your Biz, I kind of want to ask you about your opinion on, this exchange, Binance.us. Of course, I actually just pulled up CoinMarketCap because I know BNB is going to be the a top 3 coin here once you take out Tether. But when you look at the market cap, it's a $44 billion market cap for BNB. The next alt is XRP. It's less than 20, less than half. So BNB making a lot of moves. What are your thoughts on Binance.us? Is it as secure as a centralized exchange could be? Is this, maybe one of the better ones, one of the worst ones? Do you have any opinion on Binance.us?
Yeah, I appreciate you asking me. I'm a bit more of a strong advocate for self-custody, much stronger advocate for decentralized exchanges. And while I know that Binance has made inroads in reaching out to the more like staunch cypherpunk and decentralized holders like myself, by having Binance Smart Chain, even that some would contend is kind of more centrally controlled by the way they do their consensus and the proof of stake model,
It's
how they have their
11
validator set up.
validators.
And
Am I correct with that?
yeah,
11. Okay.
yes, but the more problematic issue there, though, DZ, is that it's not totally clear that those are decentrally controlled, but it's presumed that they're all controlled by Binance, but nobody can prove that for sure. So to answer your question, Binance.us, is it as safe as a centralized exchange can be? I'm really not some expert in how safe or secure centralized exchanges are. I'm really more of an advocate, kind of a voice out in the wilderness crying to those who will hear to stay away from any centralized exchange. So for me, it's not a question of which one is safest. It's a question of whether or not people who I have any influence with will just stay away from anything centralized at all.
All right. If I were to self-custody BNB, I'd probably use MetaMask. What anything you'd recommend?
Yeah, if you were going to use MetaMask, I would recommend more strongly that use an open source project like frame.sh, and that's fully audited by the open source community as an alternative to MetaMask. Doesn't necessarily rely on Infura and allows you to be totally sovereign with your Ethereum or your BNB holdings.
All right, so consensus isn't looking at my bag there. Okay, all right. Well, let's talk about the ETH upgrade here, the Shanghai hard fork. We're not talking about a Wilson brother movie here. This is scheduled for March 23. One of the core developers announced that the staked ETH tokens are going to be prioritized, and one of the major upgrades is Warm Coinbase, not Coinbase, the centralized exchange. Basically, a hard to explain, maybe a warming up mechanism to trade a coin, and also a couple other Ethereum improvement proposals. One is going to reduce network fees, and also, one's going to help the participants in the ecosystem, help the builders. Now, we've seen a little bit of a rally. I don't know how much of that is Bitcoin. I don't know how much of that is bullish news on Shanghai. But, back to you, Mind Your Biz. Now, I do know something you do know, and that's, when these coins fork, there's a lot of stuff going on behind the scenes. There's a lot of, individuals like yourself looking at the nuts and bolts of these upgrades. In layman's terms, what are some of the main upgrades that you're expecting to see if it goes through?
Wow. So I think the first feature that most people are going to be very excited about is that you are now permitted to unstake your Ethereum. This was a bit of a rug pull for a lot of people, DZ. A lot of people were expecting that when proof of stake was implemented on Ethereum, that it would somehow be more impactful, right? That the heavens would part, we'd hear angels singing, and all of a sudden transactions would be faster, they'd be cheaper. We wouldn't have the crazy MEV arbitrage that we're seeing in the flash bots that we're still seeing. But to your point,
they didn't read the fine print, Mind Your Biz. They didn't read the fine print.
Y'all didn't do the assignment, right? You didn't do the homework.
Nope.
So here's the thing. This next upgrade is going to bring us maybe the ability to unstake that you were locked into staking on Ethereum during the last upgrade. Air quotes, upgrade, and during the merge. So DZ, I think that's going to be the thing that for most people, that's what they feel and that's what they notice. And we're not really going to see that the network gets faster or cheaper on a day-to-day basis. You're just going to have access to all that TVL that was forcefully locked up on Ethereum.
Yeah, and maybe a lot of that might hit the market. I know at least some of it is. Now, Alan, I want to ask you, from the wallet side, when you see these major upgrades with these major coins, I mean, is that all hands on deck? We're not going to sleep for 24 hours. Is this kind of they give you the tools to, make sure the on-ramping is smooth? What is this like, once this switch happens, once the nodes start, deploying new code? Is this chaos? Is this, smooth like a Swiss clock? How does it look behind the scenes?
Well, with Ethereum, it's not a problem really. You get the release before, you can test it out, you can prepare, you can already upgrade, and when the switch happens, you just see it through. But I must honestly say that a lot of other crypto blockchains do not work like that. So being a wallet developer,
spill the tea. Throw a coin out there. Let's hear it. What kind of coin?
I mean,
are you gonna say
there's
Cardano?
a lot of problems even with basic documentation. So even the APIs are not correct. The upgrade do not happen. The databases, I will not mention a lot of names, but it happens to, most of not Ethereum or Bitcoin cryptocurrencies. So it's really funny
couldn't be in that
where,
list.
I mean, top 10 cryptocurrencies. There are cryptocurrencies there where the client just don't work, where the snapshots of databases don't work, where they suddenly change the protocol, and you don't get the memo, right? Because there's no central information system for getting it. Or maybe they just change the gas fees, or they change the lock requirements of minimum balance. And you can guess who will be blamed for, because the users will think that we are locking their minimum balances where we are. And things are really okay with Ethereum. I mean, we didn't have any major problems. Rollouts were really good. No lockups, no standstills, nothing. If there will be a fork split, everything will still work. A majority will go with the right fork. It can happen otherwise, but hopefully not. But I think that everything related to staking and unstaking, and users just don't get it usually. So there's a lot of FUD. And at the end, this usually means a lot of work for support guys, where the developer guys really have time to prepare in advance and test stuff. Well, not with every single crypto project, but hopefully this is how it will still work in the future for Bitcoin, Ethereum, and I hope also other chains. But let me put it like that.
No, well, thanks for the insight there. Well, no, it's funny you say that, because oftentimes they're going to blame the exchange, they're going to blame the wallet. In fact, I'm still emailing MetaMask customer support. I know they'll get back to me any day now. It's just they keep giving me different emails.
DM them on Twitter, DZ, and make sure you send 0.1 ETH.
0.1 ETH, yeah. I heard I get 0.2 back, so I don't know how that works, but I'm excited to double my money, very easily. It seems like. Now, Crypto Blood, he was talking. I couldn't help but feel like he was attacking Litecoin. But besides that, I wanted to ask you about, what do you think is going to happen, once this ETH unlock starts happening? A lot of big whales are in it. What will the retail do, and what will the big protocols like a Aave do?
Yeah, it's going to be a reverse buy the rumor, sell the news event, in my opinion. I'm a trader, and you guys know this too. Leading up to an event, you usually see a buy. I think leading into this event, you're going to see a sell, and after the event, you might see a pickup in buying on Ethereum from that. So I see a reverse in the buy the rumor, sell the news strategy. In this instance, you will start to see as we get closer to the actual unlocking, you will begin to see the price fade a little bit in Ethereum. So that, look out for that. I told people that on my live stream earlier today. So to your point on the other point, though, as far as nothing changing technically, I have to agree. Mine Your Biz said it, nailed it right on the head. I mean, it's like swapping Sleepy Joe for Kamala. I mean, you're not going to see a difference. Okay.
No comment on that one. Altcoin Daily. I like to move my shoulders when I laugh. Altcoin Daily, I wanted to ask you, when there's a lot of money that is going to be unlocked, and there's a lot of concentration though. There's like three ETH node operators, and they control over half of the locked ETH. Once the unlock happens, I want to ask you: do you think that the ETH that is staked is the power gonna concentrate even tighter, where the 2-3 players have a vast majority of the ETH lock, or will it become more decentralized? That now that I know I can pull my ETH out, okay, I feel okay, maybe staking some now.
I think that there is a risk to both. Ultimately, the ability to unlock your stake, ultimately bullish for the network. I think short term, anything could happen as the traders speculate on where that's going to go. And there is a risk that, you have all this ETH that's now unlocked with the potential to sell. The reason I think it's bullish long term is because no matter what happens short term, bullish, I think it's going to encourage more people to stake now that they see it's a working feature. Also, Ethereum Foundation clearly playing chess while the rest of us playing checkers, all locked up during the bull. Now that it's nice and bare, prices are nice and low. Yeah, you could sell. Might as well hold, though, while we're in a bear market. And it's funny, DZ, I want to give you a little insight behind the curtain of Altcoin Daily.
Ooh.
I'm live on this show. My brother made the video today. That's how we do it. We switch off. It's all about the Ethereum upgrade, the merge. I haven't watched it yet, but I know you'll be watching later today. If you watch, leave a comment saying, hey, I saw your brother on Around the Blockchain, but I support the other brother too.
Okay, and of course, we support both Altcoin Daily brothers. Make sure you check out that video. I do want to ask, maybe just no price action, no price predictions here. But, maybe we can, if we want to venture out, we'll say up or down. Once the ETH starts getting unlocked, I think Crypto Blood brings up a good point. There's going to be a lot of people, selling in anticipation of dumping, but then maybe the dump isn't as bad as people are going to, maybe expect, or maybe it isn't realized as bad. After the upgrade is live, and what's that first block of Ethereum? Is it going to end higher or lower? Altcoin Daily, what do you think? It's going to be momentous.
The first block? Damn, dude. I mean, it could be somewhere totally different by the third block. I want to know
that first minute candle.
Okay. After it happens, I will say there'll be a little dump. I agree with Crypto Blood and whoever else was saying it. I think it'll be I think it's a better chance of being a buy the rumor, sell the news in the short term.
Okay. Crypto Blood, what do you think that first 30 seconds is going to look like?
Yeah, it's going down. Well, actually, it may be done selling at that point. So we'll probably get a pump after that. Yeah.
All right. Alen, I mean, what we're all holding on BC Vault. What do you think is going to happen with ETH? It's unlocked. What's happening to ETH's price here?
I think we have to take into account one thing, which we haven't talked about yet. They are very careful with saying what and how much will unlock. So depending on what will be actually unlockable in certain amount
you're right.
of time,
that's a great point.
We'll probably see either nothing happening, or we will see a little bit down because, some people will sell. But the most important aspect is what will really happen, because, nobody knows. That's the speculation. Because I heard a rumor, there's going to be like a timeline of how much, on when, so they'll try to control this sell the rumor stuff.
Okay, and to Alan's point, not all ETH is getting unlocked at once. It's they're being vague. We don't know exactly how it is going to look. Now, Mind Your Biz, I'm not going to ask you a price question. I'm going to ask you, we're going another level here. We're taking it a level deeper. I'm going to ask you about a smart contract.
I'm busting out the fancy gear to receive your question.
Do you think that there are people
edition BC Vault?
Are there people that have the ability? Are they writing smart contracts that can dump it the millisecond it hits a wallet? Is that a thing that could potentially happen, where they could just, of course, they can front run, a human finger trying to move a mouse around?
Yeah, DZ, it goes so much deeper than that. The rabbit hole of how you can be front run goes so much deeper than that. It's not just that there are smart contracts that do it. It's that there's entire cloud infrastructure that's been set up to front run you. And in fact, the move to the Ethereum merge onto proof of stake still, we're going to shadowy supercoder territory here, where there have still been proof of work mining operations that were being used in order to create the MEV extraction back end and the flash loan and flash bot back end. And some of that infrastructure is still in place, and some of it is it requires a lot. It requires a lot to be able to execute a smart contract to front run you in under 13 seconds. And your initial question of that first block, It's a valid question when it comes to making a sweeping change to a network like this, because yes, there are people who are incentivized enough. There's enough cash, there's enough value flowing through Ethereum right now that somebody somewhere has gone out of their way to set up the infrastructure to front run you on that very first block to either make the price go up or down. So I don't know if it's going to go up or down, but apropos of your question, it will definitely be manipulated whichever direction it goes.
All right, and correct me if I'm wrong. The flash crash, of course, you're talking about the whole ETH Classic debacle, where they basically had to rewrite the ledger. Am I correct there?
Yeah, no, I'm referring to something else. Yeah, more recently in Ethereum's history, there's been massive infrastructure deployed by some of these interests to be able to front run the gas fee marketplace. And I mean, MEV was not actually ever minor extractable value. It was maximum extractable value by some of these people who run infrastructure that can inject loans into a given block with the kind of speed that you would need to be able to manipulate a block in under 13 seconds. It's crazy. These people are crazy. They're crazy.
Okay, I need Morpheus to plug me into the Matrix so I can front run those guys. All right, that is all we have time for. And man, it was a good one. Back and forth between Alen and Mine Your Biz. Seth ended up taking it there at the end. Thank you showing up again. Big shout out to BC Vault sponsoring this show, as well as presyn.io. Mine Your Biz, you ended up taking it home, man. Feel free, leave us with some parting thoughts.
Well, thank you for having me back on the channel. I'm always feeling very humbled by the fact that you invite me back. I mean, it's nice to be liked. I mean, or at least to be needed. So appreciate that. Audience, please do check out my channel at sub.myb.lol if you liked some of the snark and some of the pithy witticisms of today's episode. I got that in spades for you over on my channel. And of course, the other gentlemen on the panel, it's always a pleasure. Truly humbled to be in your presence. Thank you.
Yeah, and links to all the channels and BC Vault are going to be in the description. Make sure you sub into everybody's channel. They're putting out fantastic content. You want to know about Litecoin, you want to know about California politics, you know, they got you covered. Mine Your Biz has security. And Alen, thank you again from BC Vault. That's all we got time for. Until next time, Bit Squad. See you next time. Hit that like button.